Hey, everybody, welcome to Pop Go the Writers. All right, looks like, Paul, you look like your connectivity's a little better.
Maybe a little bit, yeah. There we go.
Trying to get the Captain America shield into the picture. Yeah. I see that. How are you doing, sir?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. Just finished making dinner. One of the oddest things I make called buffalo chicken mac and cheese.
Ooh.
Which is very good, very spicy, and surprisingly low on cheese.
Why?
It is. This is a recipe that has cream cheese and about 2 cups of pepper jack, and that's it. So a block of cream cheese and pepper jack, but it's buffalo sauce, it's tomato sauce, Worcestershire sauce, ground chicken, and just you mix it all together. You cook it up, and then I've got these special noodles that I got. They're custody. It means waterfall. There's these brand new noodles that this guy created recently, and they're fantastic. He's a blogger that designed his own noodles, and they've really caught on. They're just really bizarre, but very cool and very tasty. And made that up tonight, and now my stomach's like, this burn coming in, it's not going to be pleasant leaving.
Did you forget the buffalo sauce part of the buffalo chicken?
And apple cider vinegar and cayenne. So
we I worked in an office one time where Wednesday nights were Fuddruckers Dime Wing Nights. That gives you an idea how long ago it was. Yes. And we would go and we would eat and we would eat and we would eat. And the next day was unpleasant for all of them. That's all I'm saying.
I bet. Yeah. Yeah. It's not going to be nice around here either.
Yeah. But we're done with the scatological part of the evening.
Yes, definitely. So just made that. Had a nice weekend. I'm currently cataloging my original art collection as I think it's time for me to sell. So and I'm looking through, and it's like I've got some pieces in here I don't remember how I got. I got like some J. Scott Campbell, some Mark Silvestri, some Eric Larson, Bernie Wrightson. Just it's like these are some really nice pages. Got 2 Jim Lees.
Wow.
So
you have much more original art than I do.
Yeah, I have about I want to say close to 100 pages.
Okay. And see, I most of what I've got a couple of pages from projects that I've done, and then mostly con sketches.
Yeah. I have a con sketch by Mike Mignola he did of Hellboy, and it's like, do I want to sell that?
And the answer is always no, but
yes.
Yeah.
So I'm putting that's what I've been doing today is cataloging that stuff. I've got a friend of mine who's a big collector who I trust will either give me the good prices to put out there for, or make me an offer on the whole lot anyway.
Oh, okay.
Or a chunk of it. So yeah.
I did laundry and saw Ghostbusters. I am not afraid of any ghosts.
Did you wear a sheet to Ghostbusters? Like the old.
No, in this political climate, I'm worried about how many people would want to kill me and how many people I would find out wanted to congratulate me.
Fair point.
Yeah, I'm actually like ready to cheer on the people that would want to kill me and go like, "No, you get away from me!" Just But
right.
and laundry was really fun.
I'm doing laundry. The old Tick cartoon.
Yes.
Since we brought up Ghostbusters, let's start with that. I have not seen it, but I did an entire show on the primer for it, with including talking about some of the behind the scenes stuffs on how the originals got made, how it ended up being that cast and stuff. So Ghostbusters has been on my mind a lot lately. Also, some of the people who had a chance to be in the movie and didn't. You know, how Winston's character was originally going to be Eddie Murphy, but he turned it down to do a little thing called Beverly Hills Cop. You know? Bill Murray's character was actually originally written for John Belushi before he passed. You know?
Yeah.
But, and then Belushi, Murray and Harold Ramis weren't locked in. So they did audition other people. And some of the people they auditioned Michael Keaton for both parts.
Mm-hmm.
They auditioned Christopher Walken for Egon and Jeff Goldblum. You know, it's some interesting people.
Yes. I collect mold, spores, and funguses. Where's that fungi?
Yeah. Sandra Bernhardt was up for the role of Janine. Turned it down, and then they went to Annie Potts.
And boy, am I glad for that. I thought I like Sandra Bernhardt's comedic turns, for example, in Hudson Hawk.
Yeah.
But I thought Annie Potts was glorious as Janine.
Yeah. And then the part of Dana was being considered a couple different names. Julia Roberts. Denise Crosby, before she was ever on Star Trek. And there was a third, Daryl Hannah.
Yeah.
Were all considered. They were actually leaning away from Sigourney Weaver because all they knew she could do at that point was serious roles like Aliens. And so she actually got on all fours and started acting like a dog during her audition. And it was actually her idea to have Dana turned into one of the dogs at the end of the movie.
Interesting.
Yeah, which actually solved a big problem because they didn't have any personal stakes for the team at the end. So by making Dana one of the dogs, they suddenly had a connection.
Yeah. Although to go back to the Tick cartoon, you know, they were trying to save the Earth, as the Tick says, the Earth, that's where I keep all my stuff.
Yes. The city.
Yeah.
All right. So then we moved on to the whole thing with the 2016 movie that people seem to pretend didn't exist anymore. We know that Jason Reitman pretends it doesn't exist.
That is true. That was the one thing that I was disappointed in. The main thing I was disappointed in this movie was that it glossed over the 2016 movie, which I liked. But it also didn't really. I mean, it was more of a reboot than it was a sequel. So I can get how it wouldn't have really fit very well into the broader scheme of things. Just generally speaking, I'm going to say I enjoyed the movie. There were certainly some very emotional moments to it. There was some good laughs, some excellent callbacks, and even more people showed up than you expected. So I was very happy. I was sort of sad that they couldn't enticed Rick Moranis out of retirement for just a little bit.
Yeah.
See Lewis again. So, you know, like, I turned my TV up too so that people would think it was a problem with the channel or something. I have like lots of stuff and highly nutritious snacks.
So, hello, Jamal. Yeah, perhaps they should have went to Ryan Reynolds. He seemed to be able to get Rick Moranis to come out of retirement for a commercial.
Yeah, or Adam F. Goldberg.
Yeah.
So, but all in all, I was very pleased with it. Sometimes I think that so much of the guff that these kinds of films get, so much of it seems just. It feels like it boils down to, well, it's cool to be nasty about it.
Yeah.
It shows that I'm not just suckered in by this stuff. And it's like, you know what? I'd rather just enjoy it for what it is, and I'll definitely be. I definitely will be picking up this one and the 26. I don't have to complete my Ghostbusters quartet.
Yeah, I look at the 2016 one as kind of the Halloween 3 of the franchise. I mean, Halloween 1 and 2 were Michael Myers. Halloween 3 was Season of the Witch, that odd side thing that Wes Craven did. And then they went back to Halloween 4 was Michael Myers again, and it's been Michael Myers ever since. So yeah. The movie did pretty well at the box office, pulled in about $45 million, won the weekend, and the critic score it hasn't been great. It's like 62 on Rotten Tomatoes, but the audience score is up in the 90s.
Okay, well,
yeah,
that's good. I mean, because I've been seeing individual people on social media pissing and moaning, and
there's a quote I heard, or somebody said that a lot of critics today use negativity as a proxy for insight.
Well, I had a literature professor who was fond of pointing out that, in fact, literary criticism is not intended to criticize. It is intended to illuminate that which is great within the work. People they hear, oh, it's I'm a critic, therefore I have to criticize.
Yeah. Yep. And I've never been that way, but Jamal says the 2016 version is the poor man's Galaxy Quest parody of Ghostbusters. So he doesn't agree with you on that. He didn't like it as much as you did. So,
well, hey, to each their own. I'm not here to convince anybody to like something they didn't like or to not like something they did like. Yeah. So I thought that the cast of the 2016 were great, and I enjoyed it.
All right. Now, we're not going to go into too much more. I haven't had a chance to see it yet,
right?
But I definitely want to. But we're going to move on to a couple other things. Now, something I watched yesterday, and I'm going to go into a much more in-depth review on Tuesday on my show, on the Dan Wickline show, was the new Netflix movie, The Red Notice, with Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Do we still need to say The Rock? Can we just say Dwayne Johnson?
I don't think we do, but...
Okay. And Gal Gadot. Have you had a chance to see that?
I have not. I've been busy with... I've been watching the new Wheel of Time. They dropped the first 3 episodes, and the live. Yeah, it's going to be weekly, but they dropped the first 3 episodes, and then it'll be weekly from here on out.
I thought you said 30 episodes. They dropped the first 30 episodes.
3.
Totally different.
Totally different.
Because 30 is like 3 seasons.
Yeah, on Netflix, yeah, or Amazon. Sorry.
Yeah.
And also the live action Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
So we'll be getting to those. Yeah.
See, we watched.
You like Red?
It was entertaining. But it's one of those movies. I would put it in the same category as like the Fast and the Furious, which is, Jamal said he thought you said 32. So
apparently I'm doing mush mouth today.
But I would put the Red Notice in the same category as the Fast and the Furious, is that there's a lot of suspension of disbelief needed. There's a lot of things that's like, that didn't actually happen. You couldn't do that. So you have to kind of turn that part of the logic part of your brain off and just watch the pretty lights and the beautiful people. And I thought it was interesting because as much as Reynolds plays the kind of the goofy comedic role, he's actually a very good thief. And he's very strategic in his planning. And there's a couple times we see that, and it's like, okay, this is good. This has potential. And there's a couple twists, though, that start becoming very obvious, at least to me. There was a certain point in the movie, we're watching it, and I turned to Lisa and I said, I think I figured something out. And she says, tell me. I went, no, because at the end you'll say spoiler that I ruined it. She goes, no, I won't. So I told her what I thought was going to happen. And sure enough, it does. And then she accused me of ruining the movie and saying spoilers. So,
you cannot win on that stuff. You get no credit for being right, and you get all sorts of aggravation for actually sharing it, or aggravation for not sharing it.
Yeah. Well, so it's a little predictable at points, but again, this is not Shakespeare. This is the big shoot 'em up type. This is basically Netflix version of a Fast and the Furious type movie. It's a heist movie. Gal Gadot is great in it. Ryan Reynolds is great in it. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is Dwayne Johnson. I mean, he is exactly what you expect. Though it is interesting that at some points on the screen you're looking at going, wait a minute, isn't that Black Adam, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern?
There was no Green Lantern movie.
No, there was. Nope.
You're thinking of Deadpool.
Nope. Green Lantern. Very clearly. Taika Waititi in it and everything.
That was not great. Speaking of Dwayne, nickname Redacted Johnson, did you by any chance see The Jungle Cruise?
Not yet. I know it's available now, and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. Have you?
I have, but I don't want to. It's funny. I don't care if I spoil the audience, because they come in with the spoiler warning. But I don't want to spoil you because
Would you watch, or do you recommend me watching it?
Oh, that is rough. I felt there were a lot of weak points, but it's brainless fun for the most part. I think the best part was it felt like they were trying to recapture some of the chemistry between Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz in Mummy, and they did not. Emily, they had a certain chemistry, but it didn't end up being that like seething romance kind of undercurrent. But I did love Emily Blunt's character. She was very fun. Okay. She was one of those kind of like, I don't care what time it is or what people tell me, I'm gonna go and do what the heck I want. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, we had a few options last night when it came time to watch TV. We had the Red Notice, which we watched. We talked about Jungle Cruise. She goes, nope, that's too much Dwayne Johnson in one night. We talked about Cowboy Bebop, and she said that just sounded silly. So I'll have to watch that on one of my own. I couldn't explain it either. I don't know anything about it.
Oh, okay.
And then we watched some of the World According to Jeff Goldblum, which is always a lot.
Yes, yes.
If you were any good at the imitations, that would be one thing. But
but the hand gestures, yeah. Yeah.
And then we ended up watching a show called Nailed It, which just have you seen Nailed It?
No, but it sounds familiar. Who's in it? What is it?
Show. It's a baking show, but it's instead of them bringing in these great bakers, they bring in the really bad ones or the amateur ones, and then they give them the recipe and they show them what it is they're supposed to make, and they're supposed to make it.
Not often.
No. It is just train wreck after train wreck. And for some reason, one of the contestants in one of the episodes was that guy Jack from 30 Rock, the page.
Jack Breyer.
Yeah, he was just one of the guests, or not even a guest, but he was one of the contestants. He was baking, and it wasn't a celebrity episode. He just wanted to be on the show.
Wow.
Yeah, it is literally a train wreck. They're like, look, we've made this amazing cake. What you do is you make multiple cakes, you stack them together, you shape them, you cover it in fondant, you start doing this, this chocolate and stuff. And then what they end up with is like, I'm not sure we can show that on TV.
And I was wrong, by the way. It's Jack McBrayer. But that is odd.
Jamal says, Nailed It is awfulness good. Yeah, it is. It is just one of those shows that you watch and you're like, oh God, it's like they made this Loch Ness Monster cake. It's like, no, don't do that. That's going to be bad. There's so much potential for bad there. And then the judges are just having fun, and it is a train wreck, and you end up watching like 3 or 4 episodes in a row, just stunned, thinking, I could do better than that.
But maybe not.
There was a woman who had they gave her the recipe. They told her to use 8 eggs in the batter. She thought, that's too many eggs, and used 4 instead.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like, look, lady, you don't have to eat it. Just follow the instructions.
Exactly.
Like, oh no, I think they'd be like, oh well, put in 3 cups of sugar. Oh, that's too much sugar. I'm watching my weight. You're not eating it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So if you're looking for just a mindless half hour of watching people do horribly bad at something, Nailed It. And then when they display it, they show a picture of the original, and then they drop the little screen to show what the person made, but they have to say, nailed it! And you're like, no, you didn't! So, wow. All right. So Red Notice is mindless fun, and they really set up the sequel. It's absolutely set up for a sequel. And I don't even mean like tiny little hint. I mean, they literally leave you at the point where like, wink, wink, nod, nod. Yes, there's going to be a sequel. So, I mean, it's not even subtle.
Yeah. But you know who else did that? What else did that? The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yes. Buckaroo Banzai, too. They even had the We'll Be Back in the title.
Sure.
Yes.
Although I think that was more to emulate the serial than anything else. Although Against the World Crime League, the Buckaroo Banzai, I don't know if it's a novel or a collection of short stories coming from Dark Horse very soon.
Yep. And then Moonstone did a few stories as well that were written by the original creator of the series. That
would be Earl Mac Roush, or Mac as he asked me to call him. Right. So actually, mostly I talked with B. Richter about that. I was doing adaptations when they were doing Moonstone or Buckaroo comics. Mac likes to work in screenplay format, what he knows. So then somebody has to take it and would take it and turn it into a comic format.
Yeah, I can see that.
Sadly, I don't think any of the stuff I worked on ever saw print for a variety of reasons that don't need detailing it.
Yeah, that's quite a mess. The rights on it and everything. So, but you never know with the rights things. I mean, we had that recent situation with Friday the 13th, where the original screenwriter has gotten the rights back to Friday the 13th, which then becomes this big thing because the franchise is built around Jason Voorhees. But if you think about it, Jason Voorhees never really appears in the first Friday the 13th. Nope. The killer's his mom. So it's really going to take a while to figure out, well, who exactly got the rights to it. Hey, Game Titan, we are just going through a couple things, and then we are going to talk about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer in just a minute. We're going to hit up on Cowboy Bebop real quick, and then we're going to go in depth on the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer in just a moment. So, all right, Paul, tell me about Cowboy Bebop and why I should be watching it.
Well, here's the thing. I love Cowboy Bebop, the anime. This feels a little different. There are some aspects of it, like I saw people complaining about, like, why do a shot-for-shot remake in live action? Although it doesn't quite feel that way to me. Things are tweaked and edited and adjusted a little bit. John Cho does not, he's not exactly the Spike Spiegel from the anime, but he is very, he brings a lot of the insouciance and the oh God, what's the word I'm looking? Just that kind of laconic approach. I think he's worked out a hell of a lot. His fight stuff is pretty good, and the guy that they got for Jet Black is like they managed to make him, and I can't. They managed to make him look almost exactly like the character, except his skin's a few shades darker. He is actually black. But they capture the character essence, I think. Faye Valentine's probably the one that has the most difference. And people were griping, oh, her costume isn't as crazy and skimpy. And it's like, yes, because it has this, when you're drawing it, it will stay on and in place a lot easier than if it's real.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of, like, you can't staple clothes to people, which is pretty much what you would have to do to make her, well, you can, but it's frowned upon, generally speaking, except in certain situations. And that's not what that again doesn't need to be explored in depth. But on the whole, I'm really enjoying it. It has a lot of the same feel to it but it doesn't feel like a complete copy to me. Even the storylines that are the same, it still feels a little different. I'm enjoying it. Unless you are like such a hardcore, terribly attached to the original as perfection, then you should be able to watch it. These people are, everybody involved seems to be giving it their best, and yeah, I'm liking it.
So, what is Cowboy Bebop? What is the story?
The story of Cowboy Bebop is basically these three people who don't fit in for a variety of reasons in general society, who end up as cowboys, which in that future setting where the it's all set in the solar system, but the solar system has been terraformed. Like some planets, Mars has got domes with areas of habitat. Some of the moon of the gas giants have been terraformed, and people travel around within the system. Anyway, in the parlance of the setting, a cowboy is a bounty hunter, bringing in criminals that the authorities are having a hard time catching. Jet Black is an ex-cop. Spike is an ex-crook, and Faye is an ex-popsicle. She was
as anime as you can get.
Yeah, she was in cryogenic sleep for some sort of disease, when she got out, she couldn't remember her original life, which is an occasional side effect of that process, and she pretty much fell sideways bounty hunting. And then through the sequence of events, they all end up together. They end up with a very intelligent corgi, and it remains to be seen whether one of the very popular characters from the anime, Edward, who is a young non-binary person who is a computer and kind of quirky, will show up.
Okay. Well, I've been thinking about checking it out. I like John Cho, and I believe the actor playing Jet Black is Mustafa. I can't think of his last name. I believe he played in Luke Cage.
Shakir, I believe.
Mustafa Shakir, yeah.
Yeah,
he played in the second season of Luke Cage on Netflix.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he?
I want to.
Was he? Was he Copperhead?
Yeah.
Ah, that's what. No, he was Bushmaster.
Sorry, you're right, Bushmaster.
Yes. No, Copperhead was
Eric. Eric something. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the cast is really solid. Especially if you're not attached to the anime, you'll have fun watching it, I think. I do recommend the anime, though. It is the artwork is pretty amazing, and I like the setting and this weird combination of kind of jazz and the Wild West.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to No Way Home?
Yeah, let's talk about that trailer.
To which Wayne replies, "Way home."
So this trailer dropped there was a fan event on Tuesday for Sony, and they had some of the cast there. They did this big debut of it, and there was some speculation that they might have hung on to it, made people go see Ghostbusters if they wanted to see the trailer type of thing, at least hold it off for a week. But it ended up dropping immediately. I was actually doing the show I do on Tuesday nights called In Stores This Week. So we spent the last few minutes of it watching it, and then doing a live reaction to it. It's interesting. We got a lot of things confirmed that we pretty much knew, but then we didn't get things confirmed. And it's almost like because they're not there, it kind of confirms them. You know, we got our first look at the lizard.
Yep.
Which is going to be Rhys Ifans' lizard from Amazing Spider-Man. We got Sandman, which is Thomas Hayden Church from Spider-Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
We got Willem Dafoe in the Power Rangers version of the Green Goblin costume from Spider-Man 1. Again, we already knew we had Doc Ock, Alfred Molina from Spider-Man 2. And we get Jamie Foxx as Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2 with this new costume. His powers, his electricity is now yellow, much more comic accurate. I know they turned him blue for a while, but the original version was yellow. And when we see him, the electricity around him forms that weird
star shape. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought all of that was cool. But there's the big one controversy having to do with the big fight at the Statue of Liberty. And I think we'll do it backwards. We'll just go ahead and start there.
Okay.
There was I think it's a Brazilian release of the trailer that showed just a tiny bit more than the one we got here. And in it, you see the lizard who is nowhere near. The lizard, Sandman, and Electro are attacking Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and it's 3 against 1. But it doesn't look like all 3 of them are going at him. They're more going straight forward, where Lizard and Electro are nowhere near him and are in the part of attacking. And then Lizard gets hit, and his entire head goes back around in the slightly extended version. And it's like, okay, he's been hit by something, which means that either they're introducing the Invisible Woman or somebody has been scrubbed out of the scene, digitally removed. And we know that Marvel is not opposed to doing things like that.
You mean like where we saw the Hulk in the Infinity War trailer, and then suddenly it was like, wait, it's the Hulkbuster.
Yep. Yeah. So those are the type of things we're talking about. Or they use scenes that don't end up in the movie, like with the Eternals. There was a bunch of scenes we saw in the Eternals trailer that never made the movie. So, so you can't take the trailers as the gospel, but
right.
There's somebody removed from that scene, at least one person, because something is hitting. I mean, I don't think Spidey launched a giant web this way. I mean, maybe he could have, but it doesn't work that way in the shot. So the fact that we don't see what hits him kind of tell us that something's been scrubbed, and there's a good chance that something is another Spider-Man. Or Daredevil.
Maybe they're fighting amongst themselves.
True. It could be Doc Ock is helping him out, because he does take that turn.
And the other and it is more firmly established that the guy in the black Spider-Man suit is not, just Spider-Man in a different, like that it's not Tom Holland in a stealth suit, something like that.
Wait, what?
Well, there's the Spider-Man in the black suit, which the first time I saw the teaser, I was like, why is he wearing the black suit? And it never occurred to me that it was supposed to be Venom.
It's not. It's not.
Are you sure?
Everything that I've been told is that supposedly there's a scene we saw in one of the clips that has Spider-Man being hit by paint, and he ends up turning the suit inside out so that he can still wear it, and it's black, and that's what it looks like on the inside, is what the story is.
But okay,
there's no Venom confirmation of anything in this movie so far.
Yeah. Okay, because I've been hearing lots and lots of speculation to that end.
Yeah, but no, the black suit is... Well, we have the scene with him, Tom Holland, with the mask off, wearing the black suit in the clip, in the trailer, when he's running through the food kitchen.
As opposed to what kind of kitchen?
The homeless shelter food kitchen.
Gotcha.
They call it a food kitchen, right?
Soup kitchen, usually.
Soup kitchen. Okay. I've always heard it as a food kitchen, but yeah. So it's called Feast in the movie. It's something that Aunt May works at.
Which Aunt May?
At this point, who knows?
Yeah. But okay, as somebody had said, they were hoping it was Topher Grace's Venom.
That would be interesting. But there's a scene where we see him in the black, and he's got this gold gauntlet on, and that's actually something Doctor Strange gives him, which allows him to capture the villains and put them in that cube thing, or whatever. Yeah, and so that they're trying to get him home. At least, again, that's the working thing.
Yeah,
there's a lot of leaks on this movie. A lot of stuff is coming out.
Stuff that isn't from Tom Holland.
Yes. Yes, I think Tom Holland probably has 7 different versions of the script just to confuse him. Yeah. I did find it interesting, and this is slightly off topic, but not completely. Michael Keaton was on Jimmy Kimmel earlier this week.
Right.
And was deftly dancing around all of Jimmy's questions. And, because... But besides being connected to the Spider-Man franchise, he's also in the new Morbius movie coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in the new Flash movie coming up, reprising his role as Batman. So there's a lot that Michael Keaton could talk about. And he spends the entire thing deftly avoiding saying anything. It is amazing. He's just kind of over here, over there, having fun, but not really giving anything away. And then at the very end, he makes a comment about how the next day he has to go shoot Vulture stuff. That's why he's in LA. And it's like, wait, what the hell are you shooting the Vulture for? Because Spider-Man No Way Home should already be in the can for a long time. Morbius was supposed to be out last year. So it should be in the can for a long time. Now, there's reshoots going on here in LA right now for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Is the Vulture in that? Or maybe we're doing an end credit scene for one of the other 2 movies he could be in. Because we do know that they will do the end credit scenes very late in the process. I mean, the shawarma scene was famously done the night of the world premiere of Avengers.
Right.
They ran over, filmed it, then went back to the parties just so they could, and then attached it, and it was released, 10 or 11 days later.
Yeah. Oh, quick thing. Yeah. If you do go see Ghostbusters,
stay for the credits?
Stay through the very end. Yeah, there are two credit scenes.
Cool.
Spoilers. But
yeah. So, but I thought it was interesting. We see all the villains. We see Aunt May running through a building at one point, which explains why we have a younger Aunt May, because I couldn't see Rosemary, whatever her name was, the older actress who played Peter Parker's grandmother, or her aunt, his aunt. I couldn't see her sprinting through a building. God bless the woman. But there was no sprint left in her.
You know what? Actually, we don't know that. She could be one of those, people. It's like, oh no, I just finished my 5K.
You're absolutely right. She could have.
Yeah. So. Because I understand that actors sometimes pretend. But I see your point. It is very interesting to me that, I think we've talked about this a little, but everybody goes like, oh, Aunt May shouldn't be, like young and attractive. And it's like, okay, when I was a kid, if you told me somebody was 50, I would not have been surprised if she looked like Aunt May from the comic.
Right.
Because they were going for older and frail. I think frail was the thing, and they just made her look either that or Ditko's aunt was really, really old. And then, but it's like when we talk about person in their 50s now, we don't think of that as being necessarily all that old.
Both in our 50s.
Yes, but also just because people tend to be more active, and I think that of course my folks were still pretty youthful in their 50s, and that was eons ago. I was the youngest child, so when I was I think I was in high school when they were in their 50s. So
no, I wasn't thinking about that. I was calculating changing MILF to a MILF for Aunt May.
Yeah. So who was Aunt May in the Garfield?
Sally Field.
Oh, well, there you go. I mean, the progression is obvious there. So if they can get the Flying Nun,
next Aunt May is going to be like Shakira, who's in her 40s. So it's not that far off of a stretch, for a teenage 14-year-old grandma. But Shakira's Aunt May would be fantastic, by the way.
Yes, Peter's Brazilian aunt.
That would hurt some people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hell, Marissa Tomei has hurt some people with yeah.
I love the fact that they played up on the fact that she's connected to Robert Downey Jr. in a way, and that they play the flirting thing up. It's like, and then she ends up with Happy.
Wouldn't you, though? You'd never be happy with
Tony?
Tony?
No.
But you could be happy with Happy.
But then Happy doesn't end up. Happy ends up with Pepper in the comics.
See, but they decided. So really, it played out the same, except that Aunt May plays Pepper. I really, actually, is one of my biggest gripes about MCU Sony connection is I don't like that Spider-Man kind of like Iron Man's apprentice. I can deal with it, but I don't like that idea of where he kind of sidekick, you might say, because like when Stark tells him to stand down in Civil War, you don't tell Spider-Man to stand down. He's Spider-Man. He'll stand down when he's good and ready.
But he's still a 15-year-old kid.
He was a 15-year-old kid in the comics.
But nobody knew he was a 15-year-old kid in the comics.
Well, again, that's part of the flaw of making...
I look at it in the same way as a modern-day take on Batman and Robin. Why the movies tend to stay away from Robin is because putting a kid in danger is not a very heroic thing. So,
but that's the thing. Spider-Man put himself in. We have all sorts of media where kids or teens go out and do stuff it's if you're making a 35-year-old go or a 30-year-old go, hey, 15-year-old, let's go fight crime. I can see how people have a problem. But a 15-year-old on his own doing it, then I feel like that's okay.
And a 15-year-old, yeah, and a 30-year-old with the 10-year-old or whatever it is, because Robin was much younger than we think.
He was, I always thought of him as about 12. But
yeah.
12 or 13.
But
yeah.
we've got in the MCU, we got a different dynamic. We've got a 15-year-old kid that Tony Stark knows is 15, and at this point, Tony is in his 40s or 50s.
That's my problem. Tony should have no goddamn thing to do with Spider-Man.
But this is a different universe. This is a different creation. The pieces fit together differently.
Yes, and to the diminishment of Spider-Man.
Well,
the whole point of Spider-Man being Spider-Man, as described by Stan Lee, because Steve didn't really make a lot of statements, was that the point was to make a teenage hero who wasn't a sidekick.
No, that is true.
And that's why he called himself Spider-Man, not Spider-Boy or Spider-Kid or, Iron Man Jr.
But he was only Iron Man Jr. in the first Spider-Man movie and the Avengers. Iron Man was gone in the second one.
The second one, he was still using a suit bequeathed to him by Iron Man.
Yeah.
Which,
that is true.
Yeah. And by the way, that is one thing that I am not looking forward to from this movie. That stupid nanotech suit with the legs.
It doesn't last long.
Yeah. Well, I got that.
Because it looks like Doc Ock actually absorbs it.
Ah.
You'll notice that he's got the red kind of climbing over.
Oh, yeah, I noticed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's sucking in the nanites, and that's why Spider-Man ends up doing multiple costume changes. I think he loses the Iron Spider costume pretty quick. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either. Never was.
Oh.
And there's a new integrated Spider-Man suit that's got some gold on it, and it's like I love the black and red Ditko suit they did at the end of the last Spider-Man movie. If he was in that the entire time, I would be happy.
Yeah. So anyway, we veered off because of my fanish haranguing.
That's okay. That's part of what we do. Fanish haranguing is part of Pop Go the Writers. Now, there's been a lot of talk and speculation that people think someone's going to die in this episode or in this movie. That one of the regular cast, whether it's Aunt May, it's Happy, it's MJ, it's Ned.
Well, MJ is the really popular one, because they're like, oh, there's this scene where she's falling and just like Gwen Stacy, and although I'm surprised more people aren't. It's just like when MJ fell in the other movie. Yes, but she didn't die.
Right. Yep. See, I've also heard people speculate that maybe Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man will save her as kind of a redemption for what happened.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
That is getting to be as tiresome as Batman's parents dying. Yeah, it's like, oh,
yeah,
some girlfriend of Spider-Man falls off a bridge.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you heard that they've announced a Spider-Man animated series that is going to do the year before we see in Homecoming, his freshman year, which means we're probably going to see the death of Uncle Ben. Because obviously we haven't seen that enough.
Yeah. Well, what I'm dreading is the is the awful costume that I'm running around in.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh,
Well, I have a feeling there's some big surprises still in this movie that that we haven't seen yet. You know, I mean, they're opening up the multiverse. There's the scene at the end with all the purple streaks in the sky and Benedict Cumberbatch saying, you know, they're coming through and I can't stop them. And he's very dramatic in his American accent, which I find interesting. Because normally when an actor gets into the really dramatic moments, that's when their accents start to slip. But no, his becomes more solid. Just boom, right on. But there's
I don't think he should have turned to the camera though and went, acting.
Yes. Though it is interesting.
I love it suing him, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the fact that he doesn't say any of that stuff on screen, so it could just be hobbled together dialogue from different parts of the movie. Again, you can't trust a trailer.
No.
You know, I mean, again, we thought the Hulk was going to be battling in Wakanda in Infinity War. So, what was so they're opening the door there, so they could bring in the two Spider-Men from previous movies, and they could bring in Venom at that point. They could bring in just about anybody. You know, they could bring in Miles Morales at that point if they wanted to.
Sure.
You know, I mean, we've got the whole Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie. We could have Spider-Gwen or Silk. I mean, all these characters are suddenly a possibility. But I think the real interesting thing is going to be when this is all said and done, what's the world going to look like? What is the state of the MCU at the end of this movie? Will he have closed the door, or is it wide open and that's what Multiverse of Madness is going to be?
See, I'm wondering about that, whether it'll be like a direct lead into Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. And then you've also got to keep in mind that somewhere in between that is Morbius. And yeah, Morbius is a Sony movie, but it's got Spider-Man references in it, and it's got Michael Keaton as Vulture. So where is Morbius? Because he also refers to Venom.
Yeah. Well, but maybe it's earlier in the because maybe it happened, you know, a year before Spider-Man No Way Home, because it was supposed to take place a year before Spider-Man No Way Home.
Could be. It could be what they're quickly reshooting with Michael Keaton is to explain the differences.
Yeah.
That could be it too. But I kind of like the Morbius trailer. I'm kind of looking forward to it.
I have not seen much about it. I quite honestly, I have a strong dislike for Jared Leto, and none of the stuff I hear about him personally makes me any more excited. So, yeah.
I am not a huge Jared Leto fan.
Morbius.
His portrayal of the Joker didn't really work for me, but I kind of like what Morbius looks. You know, the look on Morbius, the feel of the movie, and plus it's Matt Smith as the bad guy. Though we only see about 2 seconds of him in the trailer.
Yeah.
They're keeping him as hidden as possible. So, but all right. So, did you take any
Vampires are cool?
Do you ever watch Seth Meyers?
Yeah.
Him talking about impersonation camp?
Impression camp, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
We've shared many a cabin at impression.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna go on. Was there anything about the Spider-Man trailer that jumped out at you?
I to be honest, it's weirdly, even though all I've seen is the trailer or the teaser before this, it still felt just like all familiar to me, which I thought was a little weird since they threw in a bunch of new stuff, but it's just sort of all more or less what I expect. So yeah, nothing really jumped out at me other than the like moment, like the Electro mask moment and things like that. But yeah, was there anything in particular that you were like, oh?
The tone was a little darker than I expected. Other than the picking on Doc Ock's name, there really isn't a lot of humor. And Spider-Man is usually a lot of humor in it.
Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, even in most MCU movies, this feels dark. I mean, sure, there's also the please with Doctor Strange and the Scooby-Dooing the crap thing, but
I don't quite get that. Like, I guess because they're teenagers.
Yeah,
because it's like Scooby-Dooing the crap is finding out who's pretending to be a ghost.
Yep.
and that ain't.
Doc Ock does say that you're out there chasing ghosts because all of these characters are supposed to die in their own timelines. And then I stop and go, well, wait a minute. Sandman doesn't die. And does the lizard die? I don't remember if he dies.
Did Sandman not die? I thought he was disincorporated.
No, Sandman just flew off after helping Spider-Man at the end.
Okay.
He apologized.
It's been a long time since I've seen these.
Yeah. There's a reason for that. Because only a few of them were good. Spider-Man 3, no. Amazing Spider-Man 2, no. Amazing Spider-Man 1, it's all right. Didn't hate it.
It's very rehashy.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things I really liked about the MCU's take on Spider-Man is they just kind of threw us into the middle of him.
Yeah.
We didn't have to go through that first year. We didn't have to go through the death of Uncle Ben and him trying to figure out his web shooters and his powers. It's like we've done that twice.
Yeah.
It's not that long ago. It's like, again, with the Waynes, it's like we don't need to see the Waynes die. It's almost become torture porn at this point of just showing Martha and Thomas getting killed.
Yeah. How many more ways can we artfully film these people getting shot? Plus, and that's not even counting like in Gotham. We saw another, Yep. Yeah. I get so irked because very often, well, I know they've actually done this in the where they've now attribute with great power there must also come great responsibility to Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
And they did that in the Tobey and Maguire movie. And it's like, no, Uncle Ben didn't say that. That was the narrator of Amazing Fantasy 15. It's not.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know when they started doing the whole Uncle Ben said it.
Well, they got to attribute it to somebody, and they can't say the narrator. The movie doesn't have a narrator.
Well, what's Ron Howard doing these days? Like, with great power, there must also come great responsibility, bucko.
Well, all right. So, does Doctor Strange seem to be acting weird to you?
Yes, very much so. Well, A, Scooby-Doo that shit. Yeah. And B, like, well, and is it weird to you that that Peter going, wait, can somebody else remember? Like suddenly that makes the whole spell go awry. Maybe in the movie itself they'll establish that his desire is what's powering the spell or something.
That's how I took it, is that he needed to concentrate on what he wanted. And then when he started shifting, you'll notice there's that one orange band going around. And as soon as he says, well, MJ needs to remember, suddenly there was 2. And Ned, and then there's 3. And then by the time it was done, there was 4 bands. So it did. I think him doing that specifically changed the spell.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, I'm trying to concentrate, leave me alone. It was more his desires was feeding the spell.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. So,
but it just kind of in the trailer, it makes it look like Strange is just kind of like, whoa.
Yeah. Oopsie, I shouldn't have done this. Wong was right.
Yeah, he seems a little too lighthearted. Strange seems very, very unstrange.
Yeah.
So
he does seem a little off character, and I know a lot of people are speculating, well, maybe he's Mephisto. Because Mephisto is tied into the One More Day thing, where Spider-Man does try to get people to forget that he's Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So, and it does cost him MJ. So, I mean, I could see them doing something like that, but I don't know. This is one of those, there's so many possibilities that you kind of have to just go, let me put that aside, and I'll go see the movie and see what they actually decide to do.
And that's kind of how I try and approach all of these things. It's fun to speculate a little, and it gives us something to do on Sunday night. But in the end, I want to go and be entertained by a story that I did not figure out ahead of time.
Right. Now, there is a spoiler thing I'm going to talk about. Let me put this up. And I don't know if I brought this up with you last week, but there were 2 images that got leaked. And normally I don't talk about leaked images. But these 2 were kind of special because they went to a YouTube guy who isn't an insider. Yeah. Somebody sent it to him. He assumed they were fake, but posted them because he thought they were going to, they'd get a lot of hits. And hits are what makes us, what we live off of. So he put his watermark on them. Don't know why he decided to do that. And he posted them. Within minutes, he got contacted by somebody going, dude, those are real. You should take them down. So he immediately did. And next thing you know, Sony's on the phone with him going, where did you get those? Why do you have them? Why did you put your watermark on them? And according to him, these are just 2 of 4 photos that was sent to him. And the other 2 were the more juicy of the photos. The 2 that he put up, one was a photo of Tom Holland with his mask off, standing next to Tobey Maguire in the costume with the mask off, and Andrew Garfield with the mask off. And they're all standing on what looks to be the torch of the Empire, of the Statue of Liberty. And we know that's where the big fight scene is going to come from. So, but if you looked closely, there were some things in it that made it look like the photos might be faked. So that's why he didn't believe it. The second photo is the one that's more interesting to me, is that it's inside the apartment, Aunt May's apartment. And there's a bookshelf that we see in the trailer from a different angle. And it's the kitchen table, and sitting around the table are Tom Holland, Marissa Tomei, Jon Favreau, and Charlie Cox.
Yeah.
And Charlie looks like I mean, he's got the dark glasses on. He's Matt Murdock, but his hair is different. He's got a little more receding hairline than he did in the Netflix series. So it's obvious this isn't just an image they plucked from the Netflix series and dropped in.
Mm-hmm.
So, and those are the two photos that Sony immediately called this guy and it's like, where did you get it? We want to know, da-da-da. So, everything we're seeing makes it seem like we're going to get Matt Murdock and we're going to get the two other Spider-Man in this movie.
Yeah.
So
who knows? Maybe those are the they that Strange couldn't keep from coming through.
Yeah. And it would make sense if you've got a bunch of villains to fight to have some backup, and having it be the two Spider-Mans is interesting. It goes with the narrative of the Spider-Verse that Sony's trying to do. So, all right, let's turn off the spoiler thing. Why don't we move on to talk about the upcoming Hawkeye series? We're getting more and more trailers, more and more scenes. On Disney Plus Day, they dropped the entire clip of the car chase with him, why he's in the... Because in the comics, they take the Charger, or the Challenger, whatever car that is, where he takes the Cadillac. He's like, I'm not, going to mess up that car. Yeah. But the tone of this show fascinates me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really does have that die-hard feel to it, which I love. But also, it's really hard to get a feel for what the end result of this should be. Is this Jeremy Renner's swan song in the MCU? Or are we just telling another story with him and he's going to be around? Are we replacing Hawkeye with the new Hawkeye? Some of the interviews he's doing makes it sound like he's out, and then other times he talks about stuff like where he'd like to see him, the Hawkeye, become the new leader of the Avengers. It's like...
Yeah, although I think we're looking at a transition. Because, other than Hemsworth, we're Cap and Tony are both gone.
Yes.
And some and Widow. Yeah. You're right.
But Hulk's still on.
Sure. I mean, I suppose we could end up with, Hulk, She-Hulk, Hawkeye, and Hawkeye. But yeah, I think we'll find that it's a transition, and that Clint ultimately, while he may still be around as like a mentor in some capacity, I get the feeling Clint is going to finally go and be with his family, which he's been trying to do. Yeah. And especially since since the blip, it just seems like, wait, I keep forgetting, is now the blip the disappearance and the
snap was the disappearance. The blip was the time they were gone.
Right. So there's no special name for them coming back.
No.
So anyway, but his family's all back. It for the character as they portrayed him in MCU, I feel like he should want to go be with his family.
Yeah. And I think they had the Ronin thread they needed to finish up with.
Yeah.
Which is what I think this series does. But yeah, I can see what you're saying. That yeah.
So, but I once again I am mildly irritated Well, because it's almost it seems like a complete callback to Captain America. Oh, here I am, like a trained circus monkey, where he had drawn in First Avenger with the picture of himself as monkey, and this is Kate Bishop draws the picture of the Hawkeye costume, complete with the mask that I love.
Yeah.
And the H thing, and of course they snark, kind of like the X. What'd you expect? Yellow spandex? As they look to the camera.
Yeah, but they've been doing that for a while.
Yeah, and I hate those. I hate those moments. They yank me out of the movie, but yeah, ultimately I'll be see how it goes, but yeah, it looks like it's going to be fun.
It does, and we get 2 episodes the first night, so we'll actually have for next Sunday when we do the show, we're going to focus on those 2 episodes, and I'm going to reach out to Jim Beard to see if he wants to join us, being that that's how we start all our series, is with Jim Beard as our co-host.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but with the fact that we have confirmation of an Echo series now, because there has been talk about Echo getting a spinoff, I'm really starting to think that a lot of these rumors we've been hearing, there's some validity to them, because a lot of the rumors, they're kind of, there's going to be an Echo spinoff series, and it's going to feature Kingpin and Daredevil, and stuff like that. And that Kingpin is supposed to show up in the Hawkeye series. And Vincent D'Onofrio was posting about the Spider-Man No Way Home movie. He says, I'm really looking forward to it, and I am not in that film. It's like, that's a very specific denial for a question that nobody asked. Yeah. It's I'm not coming back as Kingpin. I'm not in that film.
Yeah. So. Well, I mean, hey, he was a stellar bit of casting. I when they first said Vincent D'Onofrio, I was kind of like, I mean, he's a great actor, but he doesn't, have the
presence.
The not as bulky as I expect Kingpin to be. And then, he turned up and I went, oh, okay, shows what I know.
Yep. Yeah. Well, they could have called me. I would have been happy. I could have shaved my head. I would have done it. But,
yep. Yeah. But you probably would have had to work out with some sumo trainers or something. So
I could throw some people around. I could do so, any other pop culture news that we didn't? Because there was a few things. Was there another show you were talking about? The Wheel of Time.
The Wheel of Time, which I to be honest with you, because I've been kind of like on the fence about this. I think I read through 3 of the Wheel of Time books, mostly because a woman I wanted to date would love those books. And I got through 3, and when it became apparent we were not going to continue dating, I was like, oh, thank God I don't have to keep books. I just, I found them less than riveting. I've been, I watched the first 3 episodes of the show. Effects are pretty awesome. They have these things called Trollocs, that it's like somebody mixed a werewolf, a minotaur, and a minotaur kind of thing, and they're pretty awful and gross and terrifying, and they did a really nice job with it. The effects are good. Cast seems to be good. The pace seems to be pretty solid. One of the things that I got tired with Game of Thrones, been during the good seasons, was like the Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Skip a bit, brother. Please pick up the pace. I really need, don't well, of course, people talked about that with some of the Marvel series on Netflix. It's like, you don't need to stretch it out. Either put more story in it or shorten it.
Yeah.
This seems to be going at a good clip. The acting is solid, and so far so good. So I'm enjoying it more than I did the books.
Nice. I have a few friends who've read the books, who basically they're dedicated to the books.
Yeah.
When I said, should I read them? They said no. Because I guess they tail off at a certain point, and then Robert Jordan dies.
Right.
And Brandon Sanderson comes in and finishes the series. And I'm a fan of Brandon Sanderson's writing.
Right.
His Mistborn series is one of my favorites. The way he describes, he creates these powers that they have, these characters in the Mistborn series that are all based off of types of metal they burn in their system. And it's fascinating. It's like a new way to tell superhero stories, but set in the past. And then he jumps ahead and does a Western version of it, or kind of a turn of the century version. And I really enjoy those books. That said, and I know the same person who's a big Wheel of Time fan is a huge Brandon Sanderson fan. And again, she's telling me, don't read them. They're frustrating. It's like, oh, okay. So I don't know how I feel about, and I know that they've been trying to get this series done a few times. At one point, they filmed the most low-budget pilot episode you could ever do, and they threw it on a Fox network at like 1 a.m. just to say it aired to try to hang on to the rights.
Mm-hmm.
And I was up and caught it and watched it. I'm like, wow, this is bad. And I'm trying to figure out what the hell is done. And then I hear the story of what it was all about. I think Eric Roberts was in it. That's how bad it was. They got Eric Roberts.
Really? I don't know how I missed that.
Yeah, it was just out of the blue, popped up late at night. I did a story about it on Bleeding Cool, because I'm like, you won't believe the weird thing I saw late at night last night, So, but yeah, they've been trying to get this thing made for a long time. The rights are all over the place, so I'm curious about it. I don't know how I feel about the main actress, Rosamund Pike. I think she's a very good actress, but she seems to be the same character in everything I've seen her in. Just very intense, very high-strung, and very gruff. And that's how she appeared to me in Gone Girl, I think it was, the Ben Affleck one. And then
that is Gone Girl, but I didn't see it.
And also how she came across in the James Bond movie she was in. And the other times I've seen her, it's like, can I get you in like a romantic comedy? Just
do you see Jack Reacher?
Yes.
You thought she was? I mean, she was certainly standoffish to begin with. Yeah.
I forgot she was in Jack Reacher. But
I think part of it is like when an actor shows that they can do a certain thing.
That's
sometimes. That's like, hey, we need a Rosamund Pike type. Well, why don't we get her? She definitely has that sort of feel to her in this. But I'm liking it. Got dark hair though, so she's got range.
Okay, good. Or a dye job.
Exactly.
I'm probably going to give it a shot, just like I want to give Cowboy Bebop a shot. But you mentioned Jack Reacher. There's a new Jack Reacher series coming out.
I do know that. And with Alan Richardson, yeah, who's that he was a pretty good choice. Actually, interesting. My choice for the new Reacher, which I haven't seen him in a lot of serious roles, but was Jeff Stoltz from. He was in the comedy Enlisted.
Yes.
And he was the star of The Finder.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting to me because he's got a part in Cowboy Bebop as Jet Black's old partner, who is now canoodling with Jet Black's ex-wife.
Uh-huh.
So he is playing a little more of a scumbaggy guy. Yeah. But he's a real big, lean, muscly, lean guy. And that's the one thing that bothered me about the Cruise movies. They were very entertaining, but the whole thing with Reacher is guys hesitate before they approach him because he's massive.
Yes.
They don't go like, it's sort of like if Michael Clark Duncan, may rest in peace, if he's standing in front of you, you're going to be going like, I don't know that I'm going to mess with this guy. I know I've got 6 guys with me. Still not sure I'm going to mess with this guy. And with Cruise...
Kevin Prevost, the same thing.
Yes. I wish he was... I don't see him in a lot of acting roles these days. I would like to see him in an acting role. But...
Yeah. No, actually what they should have done was swapped... Tom Cruise and Hugh Jackman. Because Cruise
there you go.
Size for Wolverine, and Jackman was more the Jack Reacher size. That would have been. It's like, did you get the casting flipped on this? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah.
We sent the wrong pages.
Alan Ritchson has been really good as Hawk on Teen Titans, and he was Aquaman on Smallville. So he's got the build, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. And I like what Amazon Prime is doing with these adaptations. I mean, the John Krasinski Jack Ryan series has been phenomenal. I love that. So, and I'm looking forward to the 3rd season of that. So.
Yeah, that. I haven't actually watched the Krasinski stuff, but we have really established now that they can take, if they can take, some of the guys that they've taken and turned into Marvel superheroes, then they can probably take Alan Ritchson and turn him into a Reacher-esque monster.
Yeah, I highly recommend the Jack Ryan series on Amazon Prime. They're well worth watching. So, all right, guys, we are going to wrap it up there. It is our time. Thank you for joining us. I hope everybody here in the U.S. has a good Thanksgiving. I know that doesn't apply to foreign markets and stuff, so I hope you guys have a good week. And we will be back on Sunday night to talk about Hawkeye. We'll get 2 episodes to talk about, and we'll either love it, hate it, or whatever, but we'll talk about it. So
yes, probably ad nauseum.
Yes, well, we'll fill about an hour and a half.
But I guess it depends how we talk about it, whether the nauseum comes in.
True. So,
all right,
we're wrapping it up. Have a great week, Paul. Have a good Thanksgiving,